Hello there, and thanks for choosing RTV News. I am Isabel Masozera. This is what we have coming up for you. President Paul Kagame has called on cell leaders and citizens to report bad practices. The President of the Republic of Rwanda has also reminded leaders to work together and put their hearts into their work. Welcome to RTV News. I am Isabel Masozera. Top of our coverage, President Paul Kagame has called on cell leaders and citizens to report bad practices. The head of state made the remarks while delivering a keynote speech to cell leaders who completed their civic education trainings. Prince Manzi begins our coverage.
The official ceremony concluding the civic education trainings of 2,000 cell administrators was presided over by President Paul Kagame on Tuesday. The head of state requested them to hold fund of discussions and skills gained for improving their work. Sometimes we take it as a responsibility and everyone has to do what he is supposed to do. But when it comes to analyze what has been done, and you wonder, do we even understand the responsibilities we have, or understand them the same way? Do we even understand what we are supposed to do? President Paul Kagame vehemently urged cell administrators to report bad practices. When you think and understand that it is in the responsibility of leaders, you report it. You report it. There are people you represent and who to report to. Report it even if you think that the one you are reporting to does not understand. Because the reason is, at least you are no longer with the burden of knowing the bad practices and now report them. Because you are part of the crime when you do not report the wrongdoer. Cell administrators presented their request to the head of state, including their request of increasing their salaries, as well as the staff at the cell administration. We would like also to tell you that the cell administration is in need of staff, because we are now 2, but we would like to be at least 4, and also have a fair salary, because we work normal hours and weekends. Here the head of state promised them that their requests are going to be analyzed and answered, but emphasized that these should go along with productive changes. You can increase from 3 to 5. We increased the number of staff at the cell administration. But the question is, increasing the number of staff increased what in return? Or we only increased the number? Increasing the salary, it is fine in our capacity. People are to be fairly paid, but being paid should go with working effectively. These civic education trainings were done in 4 categories, with the last one convening cell administrators from the Northern Province and the Kigali city. Skills and discussions throughout the 4 categories were due for a week. Prince Manzi, RTV News.
Thank you, Prince. Still on Itorero, President Paul Kagame has reminded leaders to work together and put their hearts into their work. He reiterated this on Tuesday while attending the closing ceremony of the National Civic Training Itorero.
At the beginning, the trainees from the National Civic Training showed the head of state what they have learned, their take-home, and what they have collected from the National Civic Training they had been in for 5 weeks, testifying that it will help them be good at doing their job.
Nyakubahwa Perezida wa Repubulika, iri torero ryatubereye umwanya mwiza.
Your Excellency, this national civic training was a good experience for us to remind ourselves our duties, emphasizes on our values and our cultures. Some of the things we learned include patriotism, hard work, team spirit, and lastly, putting the needs of our citizens before our own. According to all advice we get from you, and all that we have learned, we promise to be exemplary, as our name implies.
Twiyemeje kuba rushingwangerero ubereye iryo zina.
The head of state started with a question to the cell representative regarding the issue of child malnutrition, not to look away when it comes to problems that concern them, but to do something about it quickly and to prioritize working with other institutions.
Abana barwaye bwaki byo duhora tuvuga buri munsi abana bagwingira.
Children with malnutrition, and we are always talking about that every day, about their health. Where you are, you see them, and you know they are there. What is the cause? What are you doing regarding those issues? Yourself, as a cell representative, how do you collaborate with other representatives, those in your sector or other health institutions? Even though it has to go up to the ministry, how do you work with each other? Do you have answers or not? If you skip that and now listen to it, or not work on it or even solve it, I call that a waste of time. We are all wasting our time.
The head of state additionally asked the cell representative to focus on their work and be patient.
Those who want to go forward and as we wish as a country, you have to put a hat on what you do, and mostly you can even sacrifice. Be patient, aiming that what they don't have now, they can work on getting it with patience and hope, not desperate. And this, I'm telling, is not for sales representatives only. I am saying this to all leaders in every institution because this is a general problem that we all have.
Among the issues raised by the trainees from the National Civic Training was most buildings in some cells are old or not yet built. However, the Minister of Local Government, Jean-Claude Musabyimana, promised that in 2 years, all the cell offices will be built.
I would like to say that we have decided that in these 2 years coming, we'll be done with building cell offices. Hence, with the budget we had this year, we got money to build the first part, adding on the money of revenues from districts. So in the next 2 years, we'll be done with building as we agreed with the governors and mayors. I believe the best is yet to come.
In general, the head of state assured this sales representative that the challenge presented to him will be studied and solved so they can produce the desired result in their daily work. Jessica Agasaro, RTV News.
Thank you, Jessica. We should put our hearts into our work. Great advice from His Excellency Paul Kagame that we can all apply. Now, moving on, according to some of the parents, children who drop out of school embark on self-destructive paths. They reiterated this at a time when statistics published show that criminals either didn't go to school or dropped out of school at primary education level. We have more in this report.
Some parents residing in Kigali City have expressed gratitude for government's efforts towards reducing the cost of primary education. However, this is not the case in some parts of the city. There are children who are left behind. There are those who ask why they are not in class. They respond, "Mom is a prostitute and Dad is a thief. And me, I'm a street child." You see that it is a self-destructive path. While unpacking the magnitude of the overcrowding challenge in prisons around the country to the MPs, the Minister of Interior, Alfred Gasana, noted that this problem cannot be fully solved as long as a large number of children drop out of school for unclear reasons. For example, most criminals, 80% didn't finish primary school. When it comes to school dropout, different stakeholders should come together: Minalok, Ministry of Education, Ministry of Justice. According to the chairperson of the Parliamentarian Committee on Unity, Human Rights and Fight Against the Genocide, Honorable Nyirahirwa Veneranda, solving the problem requires collaboration of different stakeholders because the Ministry of Education can do it alone. A part of lack of knowledge, there is also a school dropout problem. Most cases, when a person has not gone to school, they can't behave accordingly. Dropping out of school does not only concern only the Ministry of Education, because kids come to school with different problems from home, but we urge the Ministry of Education to put efforts in areas that end up causing many to fall on the wrong side of the law. President Paul Kagame has once again called on leaders to address the problem of school dropouts. It has to be seen in an action and in numbers. There's no other way to know that there's progress or that you're doing something, that nothing was done or it was done wrong. That was going to make a difference. The statistics from the Ministry of Interior show that 80% of those imprisoned for various crimes, especially substance abuse, never set foot in school or dropped out without finishing primary school.
You're still watching RTV News. The Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation, Dr. Vincent Biruta, has represented President Paul Kagame at discussions that took place at the United Nations Security Council. During the debate on countering terrorism and preventing violent extremism conducive to terrorism by strengthening cooperation between the UN and regional organizations and mechanisms headed by the President of Mozambique, Dr. Vincent Biruta told the participants that the terrorism issue at the global level continues to be a threat and that regional forces alone have not so far provided a sustainable solution. Dr. Vincent Biruta said that for this issue to be resolved, it requires the United Nations collaboration in accordance to the regional mechanism.
In Africa, terrorism and violent extremism are spreading at an alarming rate. This is a threat to everyone, everywhere. Traditional peacekeeping missions alone have not proved effective enough to address this global challenge. With the support of the Security Council, we need more robust and pragmatic approaches tailored to local contexts. Bilateral and regional interventions merit our attention. Under this bilateral mechanism, and at the request of both governments, Rwanda deployed troops in Mozambique and the Central African Republic. This approach is quick and effective, but it needs sustainable funding to create a solid base from which multilateral forces can take over. The assistance measure recently provided under the European Peace Facility in support of the deployment of the Rwanda Defense Force in Mozambique is a critical step to ensure that such bilateral interventions can be financially sustained. An effective cooperation framework between the United Nations and the regional mechanism should also prioritize post-conflict reconstruction, working hand in hand with communities.
Moving on, 23% of 458 small financial institutions in Rwanda use technology in service delivery to serve 4 million customers. Now, according to the governor of the National Bank of Rwanda, John Rwangombwa, by 2023, all institutions under SACCO will be using technology. Betty Mutoni brings us this report.
93% of adults in Rwanda are the ones who access financial services through various means, including computers and mobile phones. 33% have accounts in bank and financial institutions. By 2024, the Rwandan government has set a goal that the remaining 7% will be covered by these services. These are some of the people who use technology and those who don't access it. Technologically, we are on the high level compared to where we were. But what is lacking is the mobile banking without coming to where her account was opened from.
Currently, our microfinance is still using the manual way. We provide services using papers, files, and books. It takes a lot of time for us to deliver services to our clients.
The papers we used to use for our clients to ask for the loans, we no longer use them. Our worker goes to the field with a mobile phone, ask for the whole information for our members, work they do, reasons for the loan, and put them all in the phone. Then get a place where there is network and send all the information to the person in charge of approving loans. More than 500 people from financial and technology institutions in Rwanda and other countries are discussing the use of technology in financial institutions in order to develop that sector and provide better services. The executive director of Association of Microfinance Institutions in Rwanda, Jackson Kwichiriz, noted some of the expectations in this two-day meeting.
Why do you want your clients to move distances in car transport without applying where they are? So they need to apply for loans without moving long distances and incur high costs. So that's one of the challenges that we want to solve. We want to use what we call mobile banking, push and pull, or wallet to bank and bank to wallet. That's number one. Number two, time wastage. Sometimes they tell you to bring this and the other, come to our offices. We want this to be done real time, so that you apply where you are and then it reduces on the cost and time wastage.
There are 558 small financial institutions in Rwanda with over 4 million clients. Among these small and medium enterprises, there are about 416 SACCO branches in the country. Only about 68 of them use technology in service delivery. The National Bank of Rwanda confirms that before this year ends, all will access the technology. As Governor of National Bank, John Rwangombwa explains.
Despite these impressive progressions, the microfinance sector in Rwanda was left behind in the financial sector's digital drive. The automation level is still low, with only 23% of microfinance institutions fully automated, which creates a lot of inefficiencies. Knowing that the biggest number of the unautomated MFIs were the Umurenge SACCOs, the government decided to support the SACCOs again by financing and spearheading the full automation of all the 416 SACCOs. So far, we have 68 of these SACCOs already free automated, and the remaining are expected to be onboarded before the end of 2023. With this automation, all SACCOs will be then consolidated at district level to form bigger and more effective and sustainable financial institutions that will be engines to drive rural development.
71% of adults have bank accounts worldwide, 25% increased over the past 10 years. But in sub-Saharan Africa, the number is only at 55%. Betty Mutoni, RTV News.
This is still RTV News. Education experts believe that efforts should be put to make use of technology and make it student-centered in order to promote sustainable education. This was emphasized at a conference on the reshaping of education for sustainable development. Olive Untete now reports.
In discussions that brought together educators, researchers, experts, and various institutions that promote education, it focused on how to strengthen the use of technology in all education programs and prioritize quality education in order to deal with the problems that threaten the development of sustainable education. Education experts point out that in order to achieve the necessary changes in the education sector, it is necessary to focus on the student-centered education system.
Now, can we facilitate, or how can we supplement, or how can we help in the implementation of the competence-based curriculum, which is the learner-centered? Particularly, how can we use ICT to achieve that objective of learner-centered? I think the achievement of learner-centered pedagogy is it can be measured in different ways. When seeing what our students are coming out from the school having, they are more practical. Number two, what they know, like what they are learning, is on their own. So nowadays they are not relying on the content we are giving them or the teachers are giving them. So they rely on their own, but the teachers are just facilitating them.
We are in the fourth industrial revolution. We cannot do it, or we cannot succeed when we don't have this technology. The way we used to teach, the way we used to learn, it was the teacher-based education, teacher-based practice. But now with the technology, we are improving, we are promoting the learner-centered pedagogy. A student cannot get these competencies, or a student cannot get the knowledge if we keep always the teacher as the main of education. So we need now to give time to the learners to search by themselves, to discuss between themselves, and the teacher is going to act as a facilitator. So this can be only succeeded if ICT is used.
Since 2015, the government of Rwanda initiated the competence-based curriculum, which supports the emergence of teaching using pedagogical, student-centered approaches by encouraging research, communication, and collaborative learning. Dr. Florian Sanganwimana, the principal of the UR College of Education, notes that reshaping education will be achieved if learning is based on strengthening the use of technology in all sectors of education.
Reshaping our education is using all means possible to initiate changes, especially by embracing technology, and also by providing knowledge to a student to the level where he can be competent both at the local and international market. We are still facing challenges such as access to the internet, but with everyone's collaboration, we shall reach to a sustainable and inclusive education, but we cannot reach that at our own. We need collaboration with all concerned institutions to build the capacity we want.
More than 200 people, including educators, researchers, and representatives from various educational institutions from around the world, attended the first conference on reshaping education for sustainable development. This conference, which is expected to last 2 days, provided a good forum for discussing the problems that threaten the advancement of education and possible solutions to these challenges. Olive Nete, RTV News.
Thank you, Olive. During his 5-day working visit to Rwanda, the chairperson of the National Council of the Namibian Parliament on Tuesday visited the Chamber of Deputies to understand how the Rwandan Parliament functions and also discuss how to strengthen bilateral relations between the two countries. Prince Manzi with more.
The Speaker of the National Council of the Namibian Parliament, with his delegation there in Rwanda, to learn more on the functionality of the Rwandan Parliament.
We are here to do the benchmarking studies on the legislative processes. I always believe that a good leader is somebody who is keen to learning, somebody who is always ready to learn from others, and this is exactly what we are doing. This is my second, or I have just completed my second year in the office, and this is my 3rd year in the office. So I'm still novice, so I have to learn from great leaders who have been in the system for quite some times. And this is exactly what we are doing.
The Speaker of the Chamber of Deputies in the Rwandan Parliament, Donatille Mukabalisa, states that the discussions tackled on sharing skills and strengthening relations between the two nations.
urugendo rwari rugamije kuza kwigira ku Rwanda.
His visit aimed at learning more on the functionality of the Rwandan parliament. In the discussions, we appreciated the good relations between the two nations and both parliaments, as it is not his first time in Rwanda, and various commissions in the Namibian parliament visited Rwanda. All this demonstrate the will of both parliaments to share skills and more in the benefit of the population we represent.
The delegation from the National Council of the Namibian Parliament also visited the Campaign Against Genocide Museum in Kigali. Prince Manzi, RTV News.
Glad to have your company throughout today's edition. I am Isabel Masozera on behalf of our technical team and the whole team that puts the news together every other day. Thanks for watching and keep it RTV.